Alright, so we just let a possum go. Just tossed him a couple feet away from the set and he was playing dead. Took me about 2 minutes to finish the set, and he was all the way down there over the hill by the time I got done. Anyway, absolutely no damage at all. Nope. No blood on the paw or the trap. The set here is on a pond dam. Now, I normally don't let possums go, but the birthday boy here insisted, don't step on the trap, you. Anyway, I'm not doing a lot of trapping this year. I just put a few sets out for a week, waited till the end of December. There's absolutely nothing moving. I know that because I have a number of trail cams out here, and really the last 3 weeks I haven't seen any fur bearers moving around, either here by the water or in the fields or whatever. So typically we don't have any crops here. There's the sweet spot to trap is in November. I don't like to let possums go, especially around here by the waterway, because any waterfowl that nest here, they're going to clean up the eggs in the spring. They also harden the turkeys. But I got another set there at the other end of the dam. I have a couple sets on the other side of the pond there. Just going to let these things sit out here and work for a couple weeks, hopefully pick something up. Alright, so I got a red fox here, and it's a dirt hole set. I got 2 dirt hole sets there. I've caught doubles on reds. Over the years I've caught a bunch of reds and grays here. What this location is basically it's in a field corner right on the tree line. You see there's planted pines there. And what I've done historically is just up the tree line here, I basically throw the scraps from deer that I've harvested up in the trees here up in October, early November. And that patterns the predators and scavengers to run this tree line and get something to eat. And so it's usually pretty productive. This week is terrible weather for trapping. It's warm. It's 60 degrees right now. It's raining every other day. I keep these sets open by using the peat moss. There's just not a lot of fox and coyotes running in the warm weather. And unfortunately, this is pretty much the only opportunity I'm going to have to trap. Anyway, go ahead and put this down and remake the set. So here's a shot of the remake. Basically, the only thing I added to the set is a piece of fresh wood. The whole area smells like red fox now. And then this is the twin set next to it. I'm not even touching that. But and you can see how basically I had used some bait and kind of wadded some grass down the dirt hole just because it's been so wet, and it rained another ½ inch yesterday evening. Keep the dirt hole from filling up with water. But the fox was a male, so he's probably got a mate. There's a good chance that she'll get caught in the same trap tomorrow. Okay, well, it took a few days, but the set that I put in loss demonstration has connected on a nice little red. The weather here has been terrible since I put the traps in. This is the first day. It's been sunny. It's been raining. Temperature's fairly warm, which is not good for canine trapping. They move better when it's cold. But my traps have remained functioning. The peat moss has kept the sets working, so I'm pretty happy about that. Okay, so I'm getting ready to do the remake on the set that just caught the fox. So get some better. Now the set beside it is on lower ground, and that set had completely filled with water. Now what I did And this is something I do when there's a lot of rainy weather, is I'll carry a cut off plastic soda bottle and then basically just use that to drain the trap bed and the dirt hole if necessary. And you can see here the trap bed, I got all the water out of it. The trap is still set, I haven't touched the trap. I'm gonna go ahead and rebed this trap. This trap hasn't made a catch yet. Go over here and hold the camera, dude. So I'm eager to see what it's gonna look like when I get this trap out of it. Grab a little twig now. I'm betting the peat is still going to be dry underneath this trap pan, even though the whole bed is flooded out. So here's the loose jaw, and there's some more water that's got to come out. Normally these right here I don't have a problem with water even in the rain. See, the peat that's in the jaws of the trap is still dry, even though there's water underneath it and water everywhere else here. I'm just going to run these traps a couple more days, and they're not calling for any freezing temps, so I'm not even going to worry about antifreeze. There's still some salt that I had put in here before that would all still be there. If I was going to be running these for more than a couple days, I would be resalting that trap bed underneath the trap. Wind's catching a little bit of the peat as I toss it in the bed. A little bit of guiding. When I'm using guiding, I use dirt clots. Just kind of subtle guiding. Don't ever use a rock though. If a rock gets caught in a trap jaw, that's going to be a problem. Get away from that trap bed. So now I'm going to do just a quick remake of this set that caught the fox. Flooded nearly so bad because it's on higher ground. So you want to make sure you get all the wet dirt out of the function area of the trap, the pan and the dog. If it does freeze and you still got wet dirt in there, that'll freeze the trap down. And everything's kind of plugged up in the mud here. So basically I'm just going to dig the trap back out. Get a little peat down in there. So I'm just working dry peat in under the trap pan. Flip the loose jaw back. Make sure the trap's solid. You may be able to see, I mean, it's real windy out here today. Some of the peat is blowing away as I throw it down on the bed. Once it hits the ground, it's still good to go. If you're trapping out in the open and it's really windy using dry peat, sometimes I will put a really light covering of dirt from the set over the peat to hold it in place, or to blend it a little bit. And just got to be careful to use just enough antifreeze to make sure it doesn't crust down. So now I got this trap bedded back. The whole set smells like red fox. I got my dirt holes opened up enough. There's probably still a little bit of the bait down there. So the only thing I'm going to do now is put a little sheep's wool as eye appeal on these dirt holes. And we're good. So now I got these sets both back up and functional. That one that had been flooded out, and this one that had just caught the red fox, and everything's back to good. Okay, so I got another red in the remake of the trap that I had caught the last red in. This is the same set that I did the peat moss demo in. Now the temperatures have dropped a little bit, and so hopefully that's going to get them moving more. We didn't get rain yesterday. This is about the first time we haven't had rain the last couple days and weeks. So I mean, the ground's been absolutely saturated. And this set next to it is the one that was completely flooded out that I redid. And you can see that still looks perfect. Just scooping the water out and rebedding it in peat moss worked. But I'm going to go ahead and get this guy taken care of and redo the set. Alright, so I got the remake done here again. One thing I did different this time from the last time is in the right hole there, I put a little dab of bait in there, then plugged it up with some grass from the set, and then a little bit of the sheep's wool on top of it. Just gonna see what happens over the next few days. I'd like to catch a gray fox here. Historically, I caught a lot more grays than reds, and the last couple years that's kind of reversed itself, catching more reds than grays. The grays, I still see grays on my trail cams. Part of that is because my sets are all in the fields. I don't go down the woods to do the sets for a number of reasons. Ease of checking, it's just easier, it's less disturbance generally. But the grays are you're gonna find them more following the game trails in the woods. They're just more of a canine that hangs the cover more. Now coyotes here, we have coyotes that come through here. I've never actually caught a coyote on this property. I've been trapping here. This is the farm where I grew up. I've come back here to visit every year, just about every year, to trap during trapping season. Coyotes first started showing up on the game cams around 13-14 years ago when I was trapping at that time. But I only get the coyotes coming through on this property. Like, I'll have on a good terrain feature, I'll have a game cam up, and I may get a coyote at this time of year every 3 to 4 weeks. Historically, I've only ran traps here for 3 or 4 nights at a time, so haven't connected on a coyote here. I've caught dozens of coyotes other places. I've caught coyotes just down the road from here on properties that had better dispersal features. We're basically at a point of terrain of really woods and hay fields. Comes to a point between 2 roads, and there's really nothing that brings them up here that much. We don't have crops, so the prey base is just going to be the field mice and the rabbits that are living in the woods. The woods did have some logging done about 10 to 15 years ago, and so there's some there's some thicker growth at places in the woods where the regrowth is coming back. But I've always caught a lot of raccoons, foxes, red and gray, possums, skunks, and when I hit those harder, it's beneficial to the ground nesting birds and to the small game and stuff, and it just keeps the population of game healthy. If you're thinning out the fox and the raccoons especially, and the skunks, you're less likely to see a rabies outbreak, or more commonly a distemper outbreak. And there was a distemper outbreak here about 25 years ago, and it wiped all the fox and the raccoons out for a number of years, and that's one of the things that influenced my decision to trap. I was a kid at the time. I saw the sick animals, and it was a very heavy outbreak in this region. And it didn't take the excess. It took all of them. It took all of them over a large area, and we didn't have we didn't have fox and raccoon here for 7 or 8 years after that outbreak, and then they slowly came back. Anyway, that's just a few comments on the place I've been trapping here. Alright, so I got another red in the same set here. This is the 3rd one. Looks like a small female. And we just gotten a couple inches of snow, and followed by freezing rain, and the set's still working good. Alright, so here's the 3rd remake on this set. Basically, I cleaned out the bed. They were still, believe it or not, the peat moss that was in the bottom of the tri bed was still completely dry, even though everything else around it's turned to mud. I was able to get the trap bedded back and reset here. And you can see, we had the weather, the snow, and The critters keep moving through here. I've been monitoring my trail cams and still getting a lot of, even though I've caught now 4 red fox here, I'm still getting a lot of red fox on the trail cams. And so the cold weather's got them moving, and they're just covering a lot of ground. Okay, same location, other set. I got a skunk here. Looks to be almost straight black. Anyway, I'm gonna get him put down and remake that set. Skunk's always good because it brings in a lot of other predators, everything from bobcat to fox to coyote. Okay, so here's the remake. Basically just dug the bed back out, rebedded the trap, dug the hole out, stuck a little bit of sheep's wool. Now this whole area is going to have a skunk smell to it. While I was remaking this, after I dispatched the skunk, I threw him back behind this set that's called the 3 fox. You know, it's just going to be an added attraction there. Now I'm going to take the skunk and do a buried skunk set at a different location. Okay, so I'm back here at the boneyard set location, and I got a gray. This is the same trap where I caught the first red. That's about a couple weeks ago now. Haven't done anything with the set, it's just been here working. It's the first catch. We've had a lot of bad weather, a lot of rain, and the trap's still working. So we're getting ready to get a storm front coming in here, and it's gonna be raining later today, all day tomorrow, and then really cold, freezing temperatures down below 10 degrees. So I'm gonna remake the set and go ahead and run the traps probably a couple more days and see if see what this cold front brings through here. But anyway, I'm pretty excited to get to gray. It's the first one I've got here in a while. All right, thanks. Okay, so I remade the set. It's a antifreeze well to hold up to the cold weather the next couple days. The set next to it, the loose jaw had been flipped up. The trap was still in its bed. I don't know exactly how that happened, but that's the sort of thing you see when grays have been in the area. They'll pull the polyfill out from under a pan, leave the trap in place, whatever. That's one of the reasons I don't use polyfill. So this gray had been caught by the back foot, and you could see how peacefully she was sitting there in the bed. As I approached, I mean, grays are so much more aggressive than reds. Right? Pound for pound, they're probably the toughest, meanest animal in the woods. If they were as big as coyotes, we'd all be in trouble. Anyway, she's caught by the back foot, and even though there's not a whole lot of chain on the trap, as I approached, she was very aggressive, which is normal. She was actually able to launch off her back foot, and she came right up. I was not in the catch circle. If I had been, I'd been bitten. She came right up and tried to take a piece out of me. So I mean, that's just one of the things that makes it interesting. I like gray fox. I think that they're one of the coolest animals around. They're native to the area, unlike coyotes. I enjoy working with them. They do get to be very susceptible to distemper. That's one of the reasons you need to trap them, to keep the populations thinned down to where if a disease does hit, it's not going to wipe out the whole area like happened here back in the early 90s, when we literally, for years we lost all our fox, red and gray, and the raccoons too, because we got hit by distemper very hard after people stopped trapping in the late 80s. One other thing I did for this set, I went down into the woods and pulled out an old rib cage that has absolutely nothing but bone. There's absolutely no meat on it. I pulled it up here for eye appeal. Just basically any predators moving through this area are going to see that rib cage from a distance, and they're going to come over and check it out, and then they're going to work these 2 sets here. So anyway, This may be I'm getting ready to pull here in a couple days. This may be the last catch of the year for me. We'll just have to see. Thanks for watching. Okay, so this is the set that caught the gray fox yesterday. I did a remake. We got another inch of rain last night. It was raining basically from yesterday afternoon all night long. It may have been more than an inch, I don't know, but the set held up and picked up this possum. Definitely glad to get this egg eater off the property. So I'm gonna go ahead and take care of him. The temperature is supposed to drop well below freezing tonight. Stay that way the next couple days, so that's when I like to have my sets out and working. Alright, so about 1.5 years ago I started finding some muskrat sign in this pond here, and this pond's about 40 years old to my knowledge. Never had any muskrats before that. Beaver a couple times, the last time about 7 or 8 years ago. Anyway, I came out here 2 days ago, and I had followed where the bubble trails were going into the bank, and I set some muskrat traps down there on the left side about 150 yards from here. Haven't caught anything there. Yesterday came back and set this old beaver bank den. I put one trap in here. There's a little entranceway here, and I got a muskrat there. You can see the tail coming out under the ice. And I don't see any new bubbles anywhere really under the water, so I wonder if this is a lone ranger here up in the pond, or if there just wasn't any other activity. The weather had thawed up enough yesterday afternoon to where the ice had melted away from the edges of the pond. It got up into the mid-40s. It's supposed to be freezing pretty much the rest of the week. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and reset this and see if we catch anything else. Okay, here's a quick shot of the remake. There's the muskrat right there. And there we go. I broke the ice away to reset. It's just a 160. Those sticks, those cross sticks coming up above the water, that is the what I've used to stabilize it. You can see the rebar stake coming up there. It's a 160 there, just blocking that little entrance to that old beaver den. Most of what used to be the beaver den is above water now, and the pond is actually a little bit high from all the rain we've had. I'll also say this is the first muskrat I've ever caught on purpose. All the other muskrats I've caught have either been in 330s I'd set for beaver, or pocket sets for coon. Anyway, I'd be interested to see if I pick up any more out of this pond. Alright, so it's a couple days after we caught the first rat here. We're on a 3-day check for underwater body grippers. Come back and have another rat in the same trap. I have a couple other rats, a couple other traps set on a dead entrance around the pond, and those are not catching anything. But this set produced again. This is an old beaver dam in the pond. Not beaver dam, but beaver den, a bank den on the dam. And I found a little entranceway the rats had punched into it. Second rat caught on it. I'm going to go ahead and pull this out and reset the trap.